as I first just tell me about how you and Peggy met. Sort of what was that connection, and what did it become?
Okay. So I first met Peggy when I was an assistant principal and was working on a project for the superintendent, which involved defining effective teaching in the classroom. And we wrote a guidebook to help principals know what to look for when they went in the classroom. And there were a few principals that were involved in that project, and Peggy was one of them. And we spent a lot of time together working on the guidebook and then developing a training system for principals. So it was like a standard for how you observe teaching. And so that was when I first met her. But I spent a really lot of time with her working on the Magnet Schools Assistance Grant, which was the very first time the school system applied to get funds for the Magnet
You wrote
School.
the grant, did you not?
Yes, so the three, Jerry Ritter, who is the director of grants at the time, and Peggy was the very first director of magnet programs. And I was principal of Enloe as magnet school. And we spent a lot of time working on that application in the conference room at Enloe. It was a lot of work, but Peggy just had a way, I don't know, she made working fun. And so as we worked on this project, there was a lot of laughter, even though there was a lot of, oh, are we going to get this done kind of thing. But it was a great experience. We spent a lot of weekends.
All right, we're rolling again. So let's go back to where you said, to the part where you started talking about you spent so much time together, working together on the magnet.
Okay. So we spent after school hours, some weekend hours, working on the grant application. And, it was a lot of work. It was the first time the school system had applied for funds for the magnet schools, because the magnet schools were very new in the school system. But we wanted additional resources to provide the additional opportunities for the students. And so that money was very important. So we really wanted to get it. But working with Peggy on the grant, she was the point person to make it happen. And she was just fun to work with. We did laugh a lot, even though it was a hard task. But she would bring us snacks and, always joyful, had a smile on her face, and just kept us on task. She did what was necessary to get that grant written and get it in on time and be sure we were following all the criteria. So we were very happy. Jerry Ritter, who was the financial person, she found out that we got the grant. And so the three of us wrote a silly poem, which I still have a copy of, and Peggy had a copy and Jerry had a copy. We wrote a silly poem, and we called down to Dr. Bridges' office to be sure he was there. And then we bounced down there, walked into his office, and read this poem to him, which we thought was pretty funny. And it told him that we had received.
Did you bring it?
I have it.
You have it with you?
Yes, I do.
All right, we may have to have you read that for us. But
so it was $1.9 million, and it was over a 2-year period. So that was a huge amount of money, because I think, if I remember what my friend told me, it was only $12 million given throughout the whole nation. That may or may not be correct, but anyway, it was a lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
And we were able to have that grant. So I have to tell you a funny story just about how we ended the poem. Dr. Bridges loved the man, but he always, when you asked him, how's your day going, he always would say, fair. It was always fair. Didn't know what was going on. The day was always fair. And so we ended our poem by saying we hoped that he would say that this day was much better than fair. So,
Bob Bridges was great. I like that.
oh, we absolutely adored him.
But
He was really fun, and he was very happy. He thought we were very silly, which we were, but that's kind of Peggy. You're going to have fun, and you've got to celebrate and be happy that you accomplished what you set out to do. So really, that was the biggest project I worked on with Peggy. She was the first director of magnet programs, and she'd already been a very successful magnet school principal at Underwood. She was a great principal. Her school won all kinds of awards, and she was just recognized in the school system as a wonderful person and a marvelous principal. So we all looked up to her.
What did she mean to you?
Peggy was a dear friend. She always, I don't know, she just was such a good listener. She was interested in, what I was doing. She really cared. We had a lot of good times together. We had we had 4 couples who had a supper club together. And the husbands, only one of them was involved in education, but we all enjoyed each other's company. And Peggy was kind of the point person, I think. She always was just a delightful person and just fun to be around. She had lots of stories. She was a great storyteller. She really made whatever we were doing fun. We went shopping together. We all had to buy the same coat. We just had a good time together. So she was very, very dear to me, and I admired her. I was the principal, and you're always looking for how you can learn from other people. So I learned a lot just from listening to her, and she was such a good problem solver. If you had something you wanted to run by her, she would listen to you and really help you figure out what to do. She had that way about her. She always had an opinion, for sure, and that was helpful. Peggy was a very strong person. She definitely had her, her opinions about things, and that was always good to know. You can learn a lot from other people. So I always loved to listen to what she had to say, and trusted her. There's a lot of trust there. We had a lot of good times together.
Terrific. Last question. I mentioned to you earlier, what is one word that comes to mind when you think of Peggy?
The word, it's joy. She was loving, and brought joy to other people. She brought joy to me personally, and I think because of her leadership, a lot of people in the school system, a lot of students, parents, after they had an opportunity to interact with her, they just left away feeling good. She brought a lot of joy to my life, and I'm grateful to her. I'm glad she was my friend.
That's great. Stay there. I'm going to grab your notebook. I want you to just assume it's in here. I'd love for you to read the.
Oh, you want me to read the?
Can you? I
I
put
can.
You on the spot. I just thought since you told the story, I would love to capture it on video.
It's long.
That's okay.
Okay.
We'll just let it roll.
All right.
You got it,
it's to Dr. B, and it's called Good News. Renewal and revitalization. I think that was the title of the grant, renewal and revitalization. Our superintendent is a mighty fine man who always works hard and does what he can. His job is tough, we are all aware, and most of his days are no better than fair. But once in a while he gets good news. Today we're here to tell him we didn't lose. But wait, I'm going much too fast. There's a story to tell about the past. So listen closely to the tale I will tell about 3 ladies who do know how to sell. Way back this fall, we sat down to begin a task that at first brought a lot of chagrin. We ate, slept, and lived in the room at the low. The computer stayed busy as the ideas began to flow. But the going was definitely not always smooth sailing. There was fussing and yelling, and even some wailing. The hours were long and the weekends ran together. There were times we thought we'd be there forever. Turning and gerrymandering and in an abundance of pain, Miss Whitten said the room would never be the same. The papers piled high, the empty Coke cans, cracker and candy wrappers, and printer jams. We'd been good friends before and never swore, but the friendship was tested as on the day's war. The complaining and bemoaning got very loud, and we began to wish we could escape from the crowd. But then one day it was finally done, and off to the post office did Mrs. Peggy run. Other tasks took over as we waited to hear if our labor of love would even bring one cheer. The N&O would surely love to have the story, but only to you, Dr. B, do we bring the glory. For now our tale has about ended and the climax is near, and all of us hope you will let out a cheer. Our secret will now tell because we want you to know the money will soon be here, and it's on with the show. For we bring you many coins, 1 million in all, and that's no lie, but don't shout it on them all. So our tale is now over, and you must not stare, but when asked how your day was, please say, much better than fair.
I love that. That was wonderful.